What a great full house today to hear probably what's going to be a great presentation. Years ago, when I was in mortuary school, the Wall Street Journal wrote an article about the industry in America most likely to fail, with a 73% failure rate, and it's restaurants. The industry least likely to fail with a 3% failure rate. Anybody want to guess what it is? Yeah. Today we get to hear about a success story. And this culminates our trifecta of food series that we've had the last couple weeks. And I don't know if you haven't noticed, but Steve is even here today as a guest to hear Cameron, who was our speaker last week. Most of you know Cameron's story, and I thought I did too, until I read his book and attended the company's 25th anniversary party. At that party, I learned that CMR, Cameron Mitchell Restaurants, only has a 5% management turnover rate in an industry that exceeds 40%. That's pretty impressive. It's all about the culture of the organization, and we've all heard about culture, and it's the main theme throughout Cameron's book. His company has donated millions to charity. For his 25th anniversary this year, he fed 2,500 homeless people, and he donated $25,000 to the food bank. They have 18 restaurant concepts. I know he's going to talk a little bit about those today. Most restaurateurs just dream to have one successful concept. There are dozens, I had in my notes dozens, Cameron corrected me, hundreds of CMR marriages where an employee within the Cameron Mitchell system marries another employee, and even more than that, babies. So that's quite an accomplishment. The coolest thing, though, I experienced at this event was having Cameron share some of the letters and stories that he's received from associates within the organization about how you changed my life. And it was real powerful. I don't have any of those to share with you today, but just imagine being the CEO and founder of a company and getting a letter from someone you may not even know who just has heard you speak or their life has been changed by their participation in your organization. That was really something I'm sure Cameron's proud of. So we're proud to have Cameron Mitchell here as our speaker today. Please help me welcome him with a warm Columbus Rotary welcome.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It's always a joy in my life to come see the Rotary Group. You all are such great people, and I'm just proud to be here and be in your presence today, so thank you very much. I'm not sure what I was going to talk about today, so I know we're going to do some question and answer, and I always enjoy that and answering questions about the restaurant business. I found out when Chris Duty was here a couple weeks ago, he referred to me as the North Koreans and the axis of evil, and he's got that backwards. He is the North Koreans, and So, anyways. I joke, Chris and I have a long-standing friendship. I was talking to someone in the lobby. I said I'm going to have dinner with him Wednesday night, Friday night, and lunch with him on Friday. So I'll see him 3 times this week. So we get along great, but enjoy our little our rivalry over the years. So I think I'm going to switch up. Normally when I get the opportunity to speak in front of a group of people, I talk about my story, and I've said that a lot, and I've probably presented here that story. So I'm going to shake it up a little bit and talk about our 25-year anniversary and our future a little bit. But before I want to talk about our company culture and values, and that's what Mike just mentioned there. And because I think it's a great for anybody in business to think about. When I was so blessed in the beginning when I started the company, the first thing I did was write out our company culture and values in my 1-bedroom apartment up in the Continent on the north end of town. And then I went about the course of building a restaurant company wrapped around that culture and values, and I'm still doing that same thing over 25 years later. And so, but when I sat down and, I had been in the restaurant business 12 years at that point in time, and I had known I wanted to be president of a restaurant company since I was 19 and structured my whole career towards that. And here I was at the birth of launching what would hope to be a successful restaurant company. And I want to build a company that's going to be around for, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, long after I'm a big restaurant in the sky. I want our company to be thriving and doing well. And so We just completed our 25-year anniversary, and that's behind us, and now we're on to the next 25. But the culture I wrote out was wrapped around, we call 5 pillars to our culture. And that first, and there are 5 questions is what they are. And the first one is, what do we want to be? And I think any organization has to figure that out in the very beginning. What do we want to be? And we define that as we want to be an extraordinary restaurant company. Secondly, we need to ask the question, who are we? And we define ourselves as great people delivering genuine hospitality. That's easy to define. Everybody knows great people in their lives. Delivering means someone's receiving. Genuine from the heart. Hospitality, treating guests like we would treat people in our own home. So the third question is, I think any business organization has to have their mission, right? What is their mission? And I didn't want anything lofty. I wanted something very simple and succinct. And ours is to thrive with both cultural and fiscal responsibility. That's it. And what's that mean, though? It means it's a 51-49 relationship. Job number 1 is not to take care of our guests or to make a profit. Job number 1 is to maintain our culture and values. And we won't sacrifice our culture and values for profit. Job number 1A, the 49 part of that relationship, is to make a profit and make a damn good profit. And we drive profit hard. And we benchmark ourselves against all the publicly held restaurant companies annually, and we're usually up in the upper 10 percentile, certainly in the upper quartile of all publicly held restaurant companies. So, but that's never at the expense of our culture and values. The fourth question I think we need to ask, and Cameron Mitchell Restaurants today has about 5,000 associates. We will have after our next couple of restaurants open in the next 2 months. Those 5,000 associates all have the same role in the company. We have different job descriptions, but we all have the same role. And that's to make raving fans of the 5 groups of people we do business with: our fellow associates, our guests, our purveyors, our partners in our community. And if we make raving fans out of those 5 groups of people, we feel we'll make raving fans anybody that comes in contact with our company. And the fifth question I think any business organization has to answer is, what is our goal? Now, of course, we have hundreds of goals. We have daily, weekly, monthly, yearly goals, etc. But we have one goal is 24/7, 365. And that is to be better today than we were yesterday and better tomorrow than we are today. And that goal does 2 things for us. One, it creates a culture of change. You cannot be better at something today than you were yesterday and better at something tomorrow than you are today if you don't change. So it creates that culture of change. We're constantly trying to better ourselves and constantly trying to improve our practice. And then secondly, it's our insurance policy. We could debate all day long for hours how successful Cameron Mitchell Restaurants is, but we would all quickly agree with this common statement that Cameron Mitchell Restaurants is somewhat of a successful restaurant company. So if we're better today than we were yesterday and better tomorrow than we are today, by virtue of that alone, tomorrow will be more of a successful restaurant company. We have 8 core values in our company, and I'm not going to go through all 8 at this point in time, but I will talk about the number 1 first important core value is our associates come first. Again, as CEO of a restaurant company, you would think I'd be up here talking about guest service as our number 1 goal, and that's not true. In fact, I take it even a step further, and I say I'm not even sure that we have a direct relationship with our guests. We have a direct relationship with our people. We see our people every day, and those are the people that take care of our guests. So I look at it as a triangular relationship. We take care of our people take care of our guests, and our guests take care of our company. And then we have 7 other core values behind that. And then we have one final statement, and that is the answer is yes, what's the question? Or yes is the answer, what's the question? Whichever way you want to say it. And that is driven home by our milkshake. And you might have heard that story. We make thousands and thousands of chocolate milkshakes every year. We start every meeting with a chocolate milkshake, and becomes our symbol of great people delivering genuine hospitality. And the answer is yes, what's the question? So that's our culture, and true to its form, Cameron Mitchell Restaurants was built over the past 25 years. Yes, I happen to have my name on the front door. Yes, I happen to be the leader of that organization, but I am surrounded and blessed to be surrounded by thousands and thousands of great people, and many, many thousands more that helped us along our way. Our partners that helped us get us in business, our purveyors that support us, our community which supports us, and most of all our people. I say we are a restaurant company built by its people for its people. And the results of that are very, very powerful, and people know that. All one simply has to do in an organization is look to their right, look to their left, and oh, look at this! Oh my goodness! Hi, how are you? Well, how nice! Boy. That is a surprise, yes. Love it. We have more, or we have one for everyone?
We do. They're coming.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will continue on. Then we'll do a milkshake toast after everybody's got their milkshake. And I got this idea. I didn't know this was happening today, but we have done a couple of meetings where we surprised everybody and brought milkshakes out. And I got that idea years and years ago. I was at a restaurant conference, and the CEO of Hooters came up to speak. And he got done with his presentation, and the doors open, and a bunch of Hooters girls come flying into the room and throwing Hooters Frisbees around. So I thought, well, it was, kind of fun, but it wasn't, we certainly weren't expecting it. But so this, yeah, so anyways, well, all right, I'll keep going. So fast forward to here we are, have got this organization that I'm quite proud of, and we are quite proud of as our company, and celebrated 25 years, and it has been really surreal. It's hard for me to even explain, because I remember like it was just yesterday that in my one-bedroom apartment, and I have a picture on my desk. I was rolling change to buy groceries. I was down to my last $70. And moved back into my mom's condo. She was down in Florida, and a lot of hard times and difficult times. And I wrote our book for two reasons. And I did it for three reasons. One, for our 25-year anniversary, but I wrote it also for our people as a legacy project, because at some point in time, when I'm up in the big restaurant in the sky, they have a written memorial, a written account firsthand of the story and how we got started and so forth. And I wrote it for our people. To promote our brand and to promote our company forward, as I do everything. Everything I do is about our people and pushing our company forward. And so quite thrilled to have that book. It was a 14-month project to have it out and part of our 25-year celebration. And when I think about going forward, and I've started this transition in the company, I want my focus to be about two words. And I call them the two S's, and it's strategy and stewardship within our company. And so I'm working my way towards being truly in a chairman's role in the next few years. I turn 57 in a couple of years. Happened to be the year my dad passed away, so that number is always how old he was. It's always in my mind. Like to David's toast, there is no guarantee about tomorrow, so I'm moving that direction. My wife and I celebrate our 25-year anniversary together in 2020. I celebrate 40 years in the restaurant business in 2020. My daughter graduates high school in May of 21. My last child. So she goes off to college in August 21. My wife retires at that point as a stay-at-home mom. And so I want to be able to travel with her and do some things. So I'm in the process of choreographing some change in the leadership and organization and on our executive committee to move forward, so I can accomplish those two words, stewardship of our company going forward, and strategy. So I'll always be the chief strategy officer in there and keep my hands in that, but really focusing on stewardship. And it starts this year. We started with our gift and our work with Columbus State, and most people don't understand, I started that project in 2014. This has been I'm only halfway through this project. It's my opinion, a 10-year project. We did the league gift to Columbus State, and we're chairing the private fundraising for that college. I don't know if you know, it's a $40 million project. It's $10 million in private funds, $10 million in state funds, $13 million bond issue from the college, and $7 million from the city for the beautification around the area and the streetscape. So This will be a state-of-the-art hospitality management school, and Steve and I were talking at our table earlier about there's really no way to quantify it, but the impact that's going to have on our Columbus community over the next 10, 20, 30 years as these graduates come out and have this great education. We're very much involved in the curriculum. We're very much involved in every aspect of the school. We will support, along with the Columbus State faculty, the opening of the 2 new restaurants in the school. We have a bakery cafe in the school and a full service, not fine dining restaurant, but certainly upscale dining restaurant in the school. It's got a 200 seat convention, or 400 seat, meeting center in there, 7 state-of-the-art kitchens, 100 seat 2-story culinary theater, and a mixology lab in it. And it's just, it's going to be very significant. And I went to the Culinary Institute of America, which is the Harvard of culinary schools in New York, and it's about $60,000 a year, and has incredible culinary education. And my goal is to provide 80 or 90% of that education for about 80 or 90% less. So it's about $5,000 a year for the Columbus State kids, and for those kids that can't afford to get up to that school. So when I think about stewardship, there's a lot of other things we have going. Our Bud Dairy project, we'll own and operate that, but we have 9 young entrepreneurs that we're helping. They pay anywhere between $50,000 to $75,000. That's their responsibility to get their kitchen set up and their booth set up in Bud Dairy. And the idea is those young people, if all works well, they can make $100,000 a year in their facility and within Bud Dairy, and we can help them. We'll be closed on Mondays. We can help them. They'll have all the resources of Cameron Mitchell Restaurants to use to help them eventually, if it all works out. We'll get another Jenny's ice cream out of that, or another hot chicken takeover out of that, and help bring some of these young entrepreneurs to bricks and mortar. Another piece of stewardship I'm doing is I've started a group with 6 young restaurateurs here in Columbus. These folks have 1, 2, or 3 restaurants currently operating, and we meet every other month for 4 to 6 hours, usually over dinner and a cocktail or 2 over time, and we talk shop. And I try to help them and share with them, and ultimately I know I will get knowledge and experience out of them and reap benefit also. But really what I'm trying to do is help them avoid some of the pitfalls that I did and help them foster their business. And I remind you, these are competitors of ours, because everybody in the restaurant business is a competitor. And those students that come out of the hospitality school will eventually be competitors of ours. Some of them will be. And so, but I firmly believe in all boats rise, and trying to help out along the way. We have 18 young managers in our company currently. This is our 3rd class, what we call our Young Leaders Group, where they work for a year with us on a special project. They're working on opening the Bud Dairy and the Del Mar, which is our California cuisine restaurant that's opening up in the short north in April. And they're working on soup to nuts, top to bottom with us, with our senior team, on the opening of those projects. So they get a lot of great firsthand experience and connectivity to the senior leadership of the company as a young leader, and that's proved to be very fruitful for us as a company and for our people. So as much as I can get my hands on, doing as much as we can from a stewardship standpoint. When we think about the company going forward, we have there's 4 aspects of our company. There's our catering business, our specialty restaurants, which Mike talked about, our Rusty Bucket Tavern, which we have 23 of those, and then Ocean Prime is our national brand. And so we look to the future of the company as we grow. We're continuing to open up our national brand, Ocean Prime. We open in Chicago in about 60 days from now, 75 days from now. We've been looking in Chicago for 5 years. That's a very important piece for us. We're at the corner of Michigan and Wacker, if anybody knows downtown Chicago. There's the big new Apple stores across the street from us. So hopefully they know what they're doing with real estate, so it should be good. And but Chicago for us is the last linchpin of the national brand. We're in Beverly Hills and and we're in New York and Manhattan and Chicago, New York, LA, and Chicago, and we've got 16 other ocean primes around the country. We're up and down the eastern seaboard and Florida and the Midwest and Dallas and Denver, 2 restaurants in Denver and then Beverly Hills, so in Scottsdale. So that brand is a phenomenal brand. Just toot our own horn for a second. It's in I think in the top 5, certainly in the top 10, depends on how you measure it, brands in the country in terms of its sales volume. It's very, very high sales volume. It's we benchmark ourselves against all the publicly held restaurant companies in terms of sales increases, retail same-store sales increases, and Ocean Prime leads the nation, not by an inch, but more by a mile in terms of same-store sales gains compared to its competitive set. So it's a great brand, and we love that brand. It's our workhorse. We will continue to open specialty restaurants. I will say it's our genesis, and we will continue to do that. But we have after the Del Mar opens up, we have a rooftop concept on top of that on the 9th floor called the Lincoln Social, and those 2 will open up in April. And then we have it's not a done deal yet, but we're close to doing a Pearl in Dublin also. But after that, that's it for Columbus as far as new concepts for the time being. But we want to focus on our Cap City Diner and Hudson 29. Those will be our next 2 restaurants we take out of town and see if those become a growth vehicle for us. And we'll see. But we're very we like the performance of both of those 2 concepts. Going forward, one of the things my dream list to do is get in the hotel business. We are something I've wanted to do for a long, long time, back to my apprentice days and intern days at Hyatt. I love the hotel business, but I ultimately decided to go in the restaurant business, but I've never lost that bug, and we'd love to open up a boutique, luxury boutique hotel company, and we've partnered with another developer here in Columbus who has the similar goals, and so we're going to see if we can launch that company over here over time in the next several years and maybe get in the hotel business. So going forward, I'm just looking forward to being a member of the community here and continuing to spend time with my family and to guide our company and continue hopefully I call it my 4th quarter of my career, and maybe a little overtime if I'm lucky, we'll see, but just keep moving forward. So it's been a long haul. I'm tired, I would definitely say that, but I'm a little bit out of gas, but I'm still got plenty left for if I need it. So with that, I think let's get to this question and answer. Before we do, let's do a milkshake toast. I would normally do a milkshake toast. Here's to great people delivering genuine hospitality, and here's to yes is the answer, what's the question, but let's add one more thing to that here. Here's to the Rotarian, and especially the great work in Africa you're doing, Doctor. So fabulous. Here you go. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Okay, let's talk shop. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Congratulations to
Thank
you,
you.
of course. But last week, we were playing restaurants. And the thing that we talked about as we left, obviously the food was that. Well, it was the attitude of the wait staff. It was so great. How do you do it?
Yeah, so I've been asked that question thousands and thousands of times. How do you, where do you get such great people? And it's usually followed up with, how do you deliver such great service? And so my point being is it goes back to what I talked about earlier. The associates come first. It's the company, our people know how much we care about them. Now, I'll just give you an example I write about in the book. I'm out in Beverly Hills with a young sous chef gal of ours who moved out there from Detroit with us, and her sister's, this is in August. Her sister has been diagnosed with cancer, and it's pretty bad. And we didn't know at the time, but she ultimately passed away in that following February, about 6 months later. And I said, well, are you going home to see her? She says, well, yeah, I'm going home Thanksgiving. And I said, Thanksgiving? She said, well, that's all the time. I don't have any vacation time left, and I really can't afford the flights home and stuff. And I said, well, when you go back to Detroit, is your family there? Can you stay with them? And does it cost you any money when you get there? She says, no. I said, all right. So I'll tell you what, you're planning to pay for your Thanksgiving trip yourself. I said, let's arrange to back up your 2 days off a week together, so you have 4 days off, and maybe a personal day on top of that each month for the next several months, and I'll pay for your airfare round trip back to Detroit to see your sister, And so you go September, October, you're taking care of November, and go December. And, she just couldn't believe that. To me, it was just natural. It was like, absolutely. So we're going to take care of you. So there's hundreds of those kind of stories around of what we do and for our people, and it's very powerful because they care about us because they know we care about them. We're closed 7 major holidays a year plus Super Bowl Sunday, and if there's one holiday I could have gotten back, I wouldn't. We're closed Christmas Eve all day and Christmas Day, and Christmas Eve's a huge day, and I would, I'd take that back probably if I could, but but anyways, so twice I've tried. Twice I've gone out to our people and said, hey, because we could do $1 million in business on Christmas Eve day. And that would translate to about $400,000 in profit because everything else is paid for. It's what we call incremental sales. And so twice I've asked our people if they would be willing to open up Christmas Eve day, 5 years apart. And both times we got shot down 3-1. And so, again, it's just a perfect example of the ability, I have the ability to say, hey, we're going to be open Christmas Eve day. That's all there is to it. But that is right there would fly in the face of our culture, and putting our profits ahead of our culture and values. And our people just love that. They all get an extra day off or 2 days off that week, in addition to their regular days off. And to be able to spend time with their families and friends over all these holidays versus having to work is just very powerful. And that's just another one example of stuff we do. So the result of that is great people delivering genuine hospitality, and they like to care for us. Tell you one quick story also. I get the questions out in Denver. This happened just literally a couple months ago. I got a nice note from a friend of mine. He went into Denver Ocean Prime for lunch and ordered a bottle of wine, and he ordered a bottle of Honig Sauvignon Blanc, and they didn't have it. And so the server comes back and says, I'm sorry, we're out, and can I get you something else? And they ordered something else, and a few minutes later, the server comes back with a bottle of the Honig Sauvignon Blanc. And he said to the server, you must have found one in the back. He said, no, I ran across the street at Capitol Grill. I called over there, they had it on their list, and I went over and got a bottle from them and brought it back, and here we are. And he thought that he was blown away by that, and the server had no idea who he was, but it happened to be Michael Honig of Honig Wines. So it was a great story. All right, we had some questions over here. Yes, sir.
Cameron, in your book, you mentioned moving resources from advertising to PR.
Mm-hmm.
What has that meant to Cameron Mitchell Restaurants?
It's been huge. So we used to think about advertising, and I never liked to advertise very much. I've always been a marketer, but never really paid a lot of paid advertising. But I hired a national PR firm to help us out out of San Francisco, and we were going to launch an ad campaign as Ocean Prime became a national brand. I wanted to be in, some of the national magazines and so forth, and so we were going to spend about $2 million on that. And he said to me, you can do that if you want, but I think you get much better results spending $1 million on public relations. And I didn't really understand completely public relations at that time. And not that I really do now, I'm a restaurateur, but I said I trusted him, and I believed in him. I said okay, and so we ended up hiring. So today we have our national PR firm, our consulting firm that works with our marketing people. We have a national publicist that represents Cameron Mitchell Restaurants out of LA, and then we have in every market we're in, we have a PR firm. So we have our own PR firm in New York City, et cetera, and so. All told, 14 or so PR firms that we have, and I get on my phone every day, at least 10 maybe hits, we call them, that we're publishing some piece somewhere along the line. What we're doing, it might be National Cheesecake Day, it might be whatever, but they're putting us out there and getting our name out there, and the however many millions of media impressions we get through it and so forth have been very powerful, and that's why we talk about those same store sales gains. So Ocean Prime 16 over 15 was up 6%, 17 over 16 was up 8%, and 18 over 17 is up 9%. And the next closest publicly held competitor to us runs about 3 or 4% in same-store sales, so it's actually just huge. And so it's been very favorable for us. Keeps our name out there. Yes, sir.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for what you're doing for Columbus State. But I had a quick story to tell you.
Yeah.
My wife and I love Cap City Dining. We go there sometimes on Sunday. And I always like to get the BLT with salmon instead of the bacon. We went yesterday, and I forgot to mention the thing about the bacon, so we ordered. About 5-10 minutes later, our server came up and said, somebody in the kitchen saw you come in. Are you sure you want bacon?
I love it. I love it. All right, I think I got one more question here. Yeah, one more question. Yes, sir.
How easy is it or hard is it to find good food as ingredients to your good recipes?
I'm sorry, the question to find out how the food that
Your good ingredients.
Oh, I don't think it's that hard. I mean, granted, we buy pretty high quality stuff, but I think some of your, like prime beef, for example. I mean, you can't get it necessarily at every Giant Eagle, but you can get it in Columbus. It's great produce and so forth you can get. So I don't think it's that hard. But clearly, I will tell you, I totally concur with the fact, and we live by the fact that you can't have something going out the front door very well unless it starts at the back door, coming in well. And so we focus a tremendous amount on the quality of products and what we buy and who we buy from, and constantly negotiating with the best if we can. So I want to close with one final comment about the Cap City. Which Cap City do you go to?
The one at Grandview.
Okay, so that was the one I was going to talk about. So we closed Cap City Grandview this year for 11 weeks for a complete total remodel, and God knows it needed it. So anyways, we could have laid off all of our associates and rehired and gone, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before opening, or 4 weeks before opening. And again, that just wasn't within our culture and values. So we paid all of our associates through that 11-week process as long as they came back with us along the way. So we didn't want to interrupt their lives. We had, I think, 95 or 96% of them come back. So that was very, very important to us. But we didn't have to do it. And we have restaurants that closed. We had 2 restaurants that closed in the short north here by a reputable company, a competitor of ours. And we've closed a couple restaurants before. And they did it to them. It's a standard practice in the industry. Young people come to work and the door's locked. Sign on the door, hey, sorry, we're closed. No severance, no nothing. And I just can't stand that. I mean, the thought of, we don't want our people to quit on us without any notice or anything else. So we've closed, 7 or 8 restaurants over the years, not renewed the lease, et cetera. And our common practice is we have an all-staff meeting a month before we close, or 3 weeks before we close. And we let everybody know we're going to close, and here's the date we're going to close. And anybody that stays till the end and helps us break down, we'll give them another 3-week severance. We give them 6 weeks notice and make sure that they are well taken care of, and we want to close on a good note. And it just, it's a little black market industry that I just can't stand. But anyways, just thought I'd share that story. So that's it. Thanks very much. Thank you. Oh.
Cameron, you were fabulous to come today, and it wrapped up a really fun month of December. We had the programs centered around food, so we called it Foodie Month, and it was a delightful month. And Cameron, last week, Steve Stover said that the city is going to rename the Short North to the Cameron Mitchell District. Is that true?
I made a swear, no more restaurants.
Okay. Is there any more space available there? Well, we have to thank his longtime friend Mike Schettinger, not just for asking Cameron to speak today, not just for giving a nice introduction. He loaned Cameron's new book to me a few weeks ago, and I just say it's a delightful read. I've been sharing this to many people since. I have to give Mike his signed copy from Cameron back. And on a personal gesture, it was a phenomenal idea, and Scott Brown went to bat with the Boathouse, and Mike goes, it'd be really cool if we gave milkshakes. And I said, That's a really cool idea, and thank you for sponsoring them, Mike. We really appreciate that. Cameron in his book talks about taking care of his people and associates first and their family, and the staff here, particularly the servers, really take care of our Columbus Rotary Group. Not asking the guests today, but for the Rotarians that are here, Jack is going to accept any tip you'd like to share so that we can give a large tip to the servers here at the Boathouse who've done a fantastic job. We've thrown a few surprises at them the last 6 months, and appreciate today's surprise. But Mike, thanks for that milkshake idea. What I'd like to end with is this is our last lunchtime program of 2018. And I would like to wish all a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and New Year. Thank you for being a Rotarian. Thank you for being the inspiration. If I don't see you before, see you in the New Year.